Hello and welcome to this special internet edition of The Match. Well, Real Madrid will be looking to build on their historic demolition of Deportivo on Tuesday as they host a side that have yet to win at the Bernabeu in La Liga Elche. Here with me to preview this one is Sid Lowe. Sid, thank you very much for coming in today.
Pleasure.
Much needed morale boost given a bit of a rocky start to La Liga.
Yeah, I think if you look at the last 5 days, it's been fantastic for Real Madrid. 2 league defeats in a row, of course, which I think emotionally, as well as in the points, because of course 6 points is significant anyway, but I think emotionally had a real impact on Madrid, and it was really important they responded well, in particular the first game against Basel, but beating Basel 5-0, then going and scoring 8, which they'd never done before away from home, 13 goals in 100 hours, basically. It's an extraordinary record, and I think that means that some of those doubts, some of which, of course, in terms of the structure of the team are still there, but I think on the surface, at least, they've all been blown away.
Well, next up, Elche, as I mentioned, they're a side that has yet to win a game at the Bernabeu. However, there's only the second season that they are back in the Primera.
They stood out last year more than anything else for their defensive capabilities. Actually, Real Madrid were relatively fortunate to beat them in Elche last year, a 2-1 victory very, very late on, but we're by far the stronger side at the Bernabeu. I think what may happen tomorrow night in the worst case scenario for Real Madrid is that Elche make it difficult for Madrid. I don't think they have enough in an attacking sense to cause Madrid problems. And actually, curiously, the last game, they didn't even defend very well, which has been very much the thing that makes them what they are, because they've got a coach whose fundamental priority is always the defensive side of the game.
They lost that game 2-0 to Eibar. Well, let's hear from Carlo Ancelotti, who spoke to the press earlier. He, as always, is not taking any game or any side for granted.
Yeah, every team in this moment could we can have problem. As I said, it is another exam tomorrow for us, because we didn't start so well this season. We were good the last 2 games, and we want to give continuity in our result and our play.
Carlo Ancelotti also confirmed in that press conference that we will be seeing changes in the starting lineup on Tuesday. An important opportunity to rest players, would you say, ahead of a tough trip to Villarreal?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that the key thing when you have these midweek games is to have the strength in the squad to be able to make 1 or 2 changes. I think more than that would be counterproductive, particularly this early in the season, because Madrid, of course, are still trying to find the right structure to fit the players in. And some players, in particular the new guys, especially James Rodriguez, that still have to adapt to the way that Madrid play. So I would expect, certainly I would expect James to still play, I would expect Cruz to still play, but I think maybe we'll see rotations in the middle of the defence. I think we might see a rotation, possibly even 2 in midfield. And you're right, it's about building for the next game at the weekend. And then actually I think with half an eye on what comes next, because of course very soon after that we start getting back into the Champions League, and that's where Real Madrid really at the moment I think the priorities will lie.
Well, these are images from training earlier. We know that Pepe is out. Ramos has been included in the 19-man squad, but he has a foot injury. You just mentioned some of those players that you think will start tomorrow. I noticed that you have Arbeloa down to start again.
Because I don't really see any significant reason why Arbeloa shouldn't play again, having played reasonably well against Deportivo La Coruña. Of course, he provided the cross for Cristiano Ronaldo's goal. As you've just said, the doubts over the fitness, well, no doubts in Pepe's case, he won't be available. Doubts over Ramos's fitness. So, in other words, that means that some of the people who might have played at right back, so for example, Ramos could have been pushed to right back, Nacho could have played at right back. I think those 2 players, if they play, would be more likely to play at centre-back, and therefore I think Arbeloa will continue at right back. Then maybe a change in the middle 3, but I don't really anticipate it. And the other suggestion that there's been over the last few hours is the possibility even of Keylor Navas playing in goal for Iker Casillas as not... I was going to say as a one-off. A one-off isn't quite the right word, but as an opportunity to reward Navas for working hard in training, give him this game, and then with the likelihood being that Casillas would return again at the weekend.
Well, here's your starting 11, if you could talk us through it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing to say, of course, is that look at the starting 11 and the formation I've gone for. I know this looks very unusual.
Did you do that to confuse us?
I did this deliberately, because I think what we've seen over the last few games is Madrid starting to try and find a new approach. And traditionally it's been 4-3-3 over the last 6 months or so, but evolving into a 4-4-2 in defensive areas. And actually, I think what we've seen this season a lot of the time is four at the back, a fairly stable four, where neither fullback gets up a huge amount, except that Carvajal does on occasion and Marcelo does on occasion, but they're not doing. Kroos and Modric in midfield, and then a front four that more or less kind of almost plays on its own and is quite a long way forward. With Ronaldo given a certain degree of freedom, so James will be occasionally on the left and Ronaldo will drift over to the right-hand side. On occasions, we'll even see Ronaldo behind the other three, Bale, Benzema and James Rodriguez. And this is, I don't know if this is necessarily what Ancelotti is aiming at, but it's what we're seeing at the moment. And I think it's part of a process of evolution towards a system in which everybody fits. And at the moment, the question mark, of course, is how exactly James fits into this. And at the moment, I think we're seeing him as right at the top of the pitch on the left-hand side with Ronaldo and Carlo Ancelotti said it twice in the last 3 games, with Ronaldo being given almost entire freedom. Well, we're running out of time, so let's move on to Elche. They haven't won at the Bernabeu yet, but they have picked up 3 draws. We cannot afford a draw on Tuesday. No, I mean, this is the thing, of course. Bear in mind that the points totals at the end of the season picked up by Real Madrid, by Barcelona and quite probably by Atletico Madrid as well will be very high. So drop points are a problem. A draw in most leagues isn't a big deal. A draw in the Spanish league, it's problematic, particularly when Madrid are already 6 behind Barcelona, so they do need to win. As I said before, I think Elche are the kind of side that defensively could make it difficult for Madrid, and last year they had an extremely good defensive record. But I just don't think they have enough to cause Madrid significant problems. So I would anticipate that the scoreline will depend on how early Madrid get the first goal. Get it early and a lot will follow. Get it late and it may be harder, purely for matters of time, for many more to follow. Well, let's hear now from Elche manager Fran Escribá, who's expecting a tough game tomorrow, but he hasn't ruled out a positive result for Elche.
El de todos los partidos. Sabemos la dificultad del rival, pero no hemos hecho ni creo que nadie haga nunca ir a un partido pensando en una derrota de antemano. Sabemos la dificultad, pero vamos con intención de primero hacer un buen partido y si podemos sacar algo positivo, pues lógicamente hacerlo.
Fran Escribá there, recognising the task in hand. Your final thoughts ahead of Tuesday's game, score and scorers, please, Sid. I think the score will be a Madrid victory. I think, as I said, it will depend on how early that first goal comes, but I'm going to make the assumption that Madrid get it early enough to follow it up. I'm going to go for a 3-0 victory for Real Madrid. Not the goals galore we've been seeing recently. Well, I mean, none of us would have predicted 8-2 in La Coruña. Certainly did predict that Madrid would win that, but not by that many. Thank you very much, Sid. Pleasure. That's all we have time for. Phil's back on Friday with a look ahead to a tough trip away to Villarreal. We'll see you next time. Adios.